Oh, hey, welcome back. I'm just finishing up the loading for my ammo for the very next PRS Pro Series match I'm going to, the KRG Windbreaker. Today's video is the long-promised video about PRS magazines, or magazines for any bolt-action rifle that is box magazine fed. Now, this is all based on the concept of the AI pattern magazine. So today I'm going to introduce several different kinds of magazines, what I would use them and would not use them for, and some options and modifications that are available to you as the ultimate user. So let's start where it all began with the AICS magazine. Steel body binder plate, takes a 2.870 maximum overall length as far as I'm concerned. Some say it's 2.880. I think it's 2.870. That's just my experience with these particular magazines. Has a plastic follower in it and a folded flat spring for pressure. They feed pretty consistently. They're a good magazine, tough as nails, made of solid steel. And they're a good baseline, good starting place for any magazine-fed bolt-action rifle in a chassis or with a bottom metal that will accept these. And they are configurable. You can do all kinds of wild things to them, like convert them into a 6-dasher magazine by inserting a kit in it, like this one, from Primal Rights. This kit's been used quite a bit in this magazine when I was shooting the 6-dasher through that magazine. How do you do that? Well, you just take the base plate off and swap the internal components. You add this spacer in the back, and then you slide the new follower and spring in. Put the base plate back on, and you are all done. In addition, I have added a Gray Ops Precision bumper on the bottom that's taken a little bit of abuse already, it looks like. And these, as much as they cost, are probably well worth your money to put on your magazines, because they protect that base plate and the fold here. So if you drop that magazine on the ground butt first, it's not going to tear it up. I like these. I recommend them. All right, let's get these out of here and get on to the next option. The next option is an MDT magazine. Now, MDT makes magazines in a couple different flavors. This one's a 223. This one is for a 6-dasher. Once again, this one has a spacer in it for overall length, as does this one. But the 223 one has a polymer insert to control the diameter so that you can actually feed a 223 sized cartridge. Once again, being an AI pattern magazine, they are fed from the front, so to speak. So let's take a couple of dummy rounds here. This is a 6-dasher dummy, hopefully short enough to use. And this one is a dummy of 223 Remington. Either way, you're going to push the bullet in the front and slide it to the rear. They don't go straight up and down through the lips at all. This is not your daddy's M16 mag. That's an AI mag. They all work well. You do have to do some adjusting on the lips, no matter who you get the magazine from, to get them to feed right. Now, my AIs fed perfectly from the factory, but these took a little bit of adjusting to get them to work just the way I wanted them to in my action and my bottom metal. Bottom metal and action have a great deal to do with the success you have with your particular situation. Let's move these aside and get to the last AI offering that I have on hand here today, and that is the PMAG. Now, the PMAG is limited to about 2.850 overall length, and it is a 308 based magazine. These things feed like butter. I don't understand it. I don't have any idea why they feed so well, but they do feed very, very, very well. I don't have a 308 dummy here that is the right size to go in this magazine. Once again, fed from the front. They are not easily disassemblable. They are not configurable. They are not convertible. They don't do real well with dasher brass, honestly. I mean, you can put a dasher in it, but as you can see, there's a big space at the back, and you can get into a tilting, tipping situation where the round does this and jams up. Not a fan of running super short cartridges in magazines that are too long for them, because it does have a tendency to jam up. You're better off to have a spacer in the back so that they do fit properly up toward the front of the magazine. That just prevents all kinds of chaos. And once again, this is not an anti-tilt follower in this particular one, although it works great with 308 magazines. This one's anti-tilt. This one is anti-tilt to a certain extent. And then this one, of course, is not, because this doesn't have the back catch in it. But being shorter, it works just fine with dasher. All right, let's get these out of the way and talk about the next opportunity that we have for better feeding. Now, if you are using your bolt action rifle that has a magazine well on it, and you're trying to just single shoot, I do recommend the bobsled. This is put in the magazine well. It fits really well and tight. You throw the round on top of it and it feeds just for single feeding at a match. Say you're shooting an F-class match with a rifle with a chassis on it. This is what you would use for that. This is the original bobsled. They are a bit spendy for what they are, but on the other hand, what are you going to do with that one? Fumble? Now, the first Magic magazine I got was from Gray Ops Precision. And let me be really honest here. When I first looked at this, I said, I can't do that because my magazine's not cut for AW mags. Well, come to find out, all impact actions are cut for AW mags now. There is a cutoff point somewhere in the past, I don't know where that is, where they were not cut for AW mags and you had to go send them in to have them recut. Mine doesn't have that problem. The AW mag has a couple of things going for it that can be really interesting, and I'll show you why your action needs to be cut for an AW magazine. Once again, dummy round. Instead of sliding it in from the front like you do with an AI, you just push them in from the top. Let me grab another dummy here, another dummy round. They just slide right in like that, and they sit here in position. So you can see from the front here that as I feed this one forward, it's going to hit this side of the feed ramp. It's going to pivot this way up to the chamber and come out. And then this one hits the other side and pivots this way as it comes out to go into the chamber. They feed like butter. Great magazine. This one is unfortunately a Washington legal 10-rounder. It's got the 12-round hole in it, but it's got a block in it, so you can't put more than 10 rounds in it. It's a 10-round magazine. The other thing I really like about this magazine is the adjustable catch. So if you're running AIs and AWs, you can set the catches at appropriate levels. So if you have just one of these and a backup that's an AI, you can set the catches at appropriate levels for your bottom metal, and this thing will feed like butter. And it does. It feeds like butter. I really like this magazine. Let's go to one more thing. Now, when we get into bigger cartridges, we can't do this magazine because it's meant for BR size cartridges, and they don't have a full-size one for, say, Creedmoors. Now, I have a whole stack of Creedmoor ammunition here, but this is live ammunition, so we're not going to be putting that in a magazine today. But in the Creedmoor, I have gone to an AI. This is an actual AI. AW mag. This is a 10-round mag right out of the package. Once again, just like this one, it is loaded side by side, but you'll notice that being a 10-round body instead of a 12-round body, it's just a slight bit shorter yet. It just barely sticks out the bottom of the magazine well of the MDT ACC mag. And it feeds in my rifle like butter. Now, this isn't to say that I didn't have to do a little bit of work to get all of this to happen for me. It's not a plug-and-play option necessarily. It can be, but sometimes it isn't. Picking a magazine for your PRS rifle or magazine-fed hunting rifle, NRL Hunter, whatever have you, can be a lot of different options that you may have to consider as you're picking magazines. The key points to consider is whether your action is cut for an AW mag. If you don't know, call your action manufacturer and find out from them whether your action was cut for an AW mag, and that will help you sort through this just a little bit easier. I would say that if you're shooting in position off of rocks and flat surfaces, you want to use the shortest magazine possible. That would be your AWs. The reason you want those short mags is so that you have more clearance underneath the trigger guard to get up closer to a prop so that you can lean against the prop, or so that you can get a more stable position without having to fumble about looking to see if you can clear that tire or the fence post or whatever else with the magazine, which sometimes will compromise your shooting position and make you less stable. If you have metal-lipped magazines, and it really doesn't matter which ones, although I don't recommend it for any of the AW products. This is a billet magazine. This is not adjusted with one of these tools. This is a Masterpiece Arms magazine adjusting tool. It just simply hooks over the lip, and you can bend the lip in or out to whatever you desire for position. Getting the magazine lip position correct is key to getting good magazine feeding. Let me give you an example. The 223 Remington magazine, when it first came to me, was great, except if I had 10 rounds in it. If I had 10 rounds in it, I would come up about here and this would pop through the lips vertically, and we would end up with it jammed up against the breech of the barrel. Well, this is a hybrid magazine. So it has a plastic liner inside of a metal body. All you have to do is take the bottom off, slide that liner out, and you can bend these lips in to change that clearance so that it will hold on to that top round and guide it all the way up the feed ramp so it goes into the chamber correctly. And that way, you have a good feeding magazine, which that has in and of itself made that 223 into a viable option for shooting a local match at short range. So guys, in the end, you have a lot of magazines to choose from. I don't have every option that there is in the market out here on the table, but a lot of them are really good options depending on which cartridge you're shooting. If I was shooting a 308 Winchester with a standard chamber that is going to be for a 2.810 overall length, I would probably use that magazine right there. It is inexpensive. It's reliable as all get out. Tough as the day is long. I've stepped on these and they don't break. It's just amazing. Although I've never had them in sub-zero weather, so do be aware that plastic does get pretty brittle in sub-zero weather. These are just good magazines. They work. If you lose one, you're not going to cry yourself a river because they aren't so expensive. Other option, the next best option for that, if you're willing to spend a little more money, actually a better magazine, but a lot more money, is the AICS magazine. That's if I had a basic rifle and I didn't know if it was cut for AW mags. If I knew my rifle was cut for AW mags, I would definitely go with the AW mag. Whether you're doing 308, 6.5 Creedmoor, or even a BR, because it is easier to load. You don't know how much finger strain you get from trying to shove round after round after round into these magazines, especially as you get toward the high part of the spring tension during a match. You end up having to use a loading tool to push that top round down so you can feed the next round in, and honestly, it just gets a little old on your fingers. So an AW magazine, because you can push straight down on it to load it, is a much better option. And you can fling them out too, like that. Didn't really want to do that on video, but that's the way it goes. All right, guys, so that's it for this one. Pick your magazines wisely, understand which magazine your action and bottom metal is capable of feeding, and be ready to make adjustments so that your rifle feeds perfectly every single time. Ultimately, you are looking for a rifle that you can run the bolt smoothly, slowly, and without any difficulty to chamber the next round so that you can fire that next shot without disturbing your sight picture or even your rifle position. All right, guys, until next time, shoot straight, and I'll see you in the next video.